Silver has done a slingshot higher overnight. And I think the markets have woken up maybe to the fact that silver is not just a industrial metal, but a monetary metal. And I think that's what was missing here. Silver went to 28.30. And then I woke up this morning and I see that silver is trading above 30. And I thought, wow, that's a slingshot. Silver has done a slingshot higher overnight. And I think the markets have woken up maybe to the fact that silver is not just a industrial metal, but a monetary metal. And I think that's what was missing here. That's why silver got trashed so much in the last few days. Yeah, that's what we're going to look at today. And we're going to look at the concept of holding on to your gold and silver for dear life, which is a series of videos that I've made before in the past, in the last, 5, 6, 7 years, because gold and silver are really, I'd say, a very emotional, they're very emotional metals. You really need to hold it and own it physically to realize how important they are when things are as chaotic as they're now. And we're going to look at the stock market as well, because the meltdown is continuing overnight. If you haven't gotten out of Dodge, and by Dodge I mean fiat currencies, because they're not going to do anything in terms of appreciating over time, because when push comes to shove, when this crisis really culminates, the central bankers and governments are going to step in, and the only thing they can do really is print money, create money out of thin air, cut rates to artificial levels to try to boost the economy. That's something that's been done since the 30s. It started out with Hoover, the Great Depression, FDR, and they've been doing it ever since. They've been doing it in spades, of course, ever since the 2008 crisis, and it's not going to stop. Yes, silver lost all its gains for the year last week, about 16%. Pretty much followed copper and other industrial metals. Why did that happen? Well, the market is discounting a big slowdown because of the collapse in the stock markets that we've seen, especially since the Liberation Day, right? That President Trump, when he announced all these reciprocal tariffs. And I think he's going to be announcing a lot more tariffs this coming week. So I don't think things are going to improve. And I don't think the president and the Treasury Secretary are going to back down. What are they trying to do? I don't know. But it certainly is chaotic. But I also think it's not a time to panic, even if you're heavily invested in the stock market. I'm not saying I think things are going to rebound and move higher, but it's not the end of the world. A lot of times the powers that be want you to get scared and get out of your very good investments, and hopefully you're not leveraged. But having physical gold and silver outside the system in your possession or at a reputable private non-banking vault is a very good way of protecting your wealth. I mean, just look at people who find treasures, gold that's been gold and silver that have been buried for thousands of years or hundreds of years, or gold and silver that have sunk with ships. it's still there. It's still pristine. It's still valuable. It keeps its value. And that's what's happening right now. And I think people are waking up. So what's the slingshot been? Well, last night, 11 o'clock London, which is 6 p.m. Eastern time in the US, I looked at the markets, and the stock markets were down massively. I think, yeah, let's see here. The Dow was down almost another 2,000 points. The NASDAQ 100 was down, let's see, 300, it was down about 1,000 points. And the S&P was down about almost 300 points. And I saw that silver was in the 28 handle, and gold was still above 3,000. And then I woke up in the night, and I saw that gold and silver had hit a low, respectively, at 29.70 in gold. So there were people asking last night, will gold break 3,000? Well, it did overnight. Silver went to 28.30. And then I woke up this morning and I see that silver is trading above 30. And I thought, wow, that's a slingshot. And I think it was Michael Oliver who used that term. He expects silver to do a slingshot. I'm not sure he expected it to do so soon, but it has. It shows how strong gold and silver are actually. And I'm not saying we've seen a bottom, but it could be very likely. So why are they doing that? Maybe they can smell trouble, and they can smell that the central banks are getting maybe a little desperate. We're seeing that the banking sector, the indices for that measures the value of bank stocks, is actually underperforming the general stock market. And the Federal Reserve and central banks, they were created to be lenders of last resorts for the banks. And that's one thing they'll cut rates or print money for. It's the banks. Maybe that's what gold and silver are telling us. And we could even see an emergency action from the Fed. Why emergency? Well, because their next meeting is only towards the middle of May. And if things get really worse here and it threatens the big banks, they could step in. And gold and silver would go ballistic if they step in. And even if they don't, and if the crisis kind of stabilizes, things are not over. I think a lot of financial institutions are in trouble. And why are they in trouble? Why does it always happen? Well, people never learn. People always leverage. They did it in the 20s. They did it during the dot-com bubble. They did it in 08, 09. They did it during the late, let's say, teens, just before the COVID crisis. It's all about the derivatives. Some people argue that there's over $1 quadrillion in derivatives, which are basically side bets. But the other reason derivatives get bigger and bigger is because in the fiat currency system, the debt gets so big that derivatives are used to kind of mask how bad things are. Professor Fekete, Anto Fekete, he's passed away. He talked about that derivatives are used to manipulate the price of important assets in the fiat currency system. And I think it could be a huge crisis because we haven't even heard about any problems in derivatives, and I think we will very soon. And so, yeah, silver, I think it was just after midnight London time, dropped 28.30. and I wasn't awake, but I've looked at the chart, and then it traded in a matter of 1 or 2 hours to 30.61. So an almost 9% rebound. And I think that's very strong and very significant. Gold as well. We traded to 29.70, and then during the same time frame as silver, it rebounded up to around 30.60, which is about a 2.8% rebound. Of course, it's not as much as silver because gold has held up really well. It's still up about 15% year to date, while silver now is probably up slightly, but it lost 16% last week, as I told you. But what this goes to show you is that when gold and silver take off again, silver is going to be, I think, on steroids. It's going to go ballistic. Am I selling some of my gold to get silver? No. I never sell either one of them unless, of course, there's an emergency. I just keep adding on to both.